Hey guys, this is Pam Migliori, and since I've been posting so much about my infusions, I thought I would kind of take you through what this does. So I already washed my hands, but since I just fiddled with my phone, I'm doing the hand sanitizer one more time. So what you see set out before you is today I am doing a minor dose as a follow-up to sinus surgery that I had on New Year's Eve. So even though everything is healing up fine, I am still at risk of bleeding internally at the incision sites since I have what is called hemophilia A. I am considered a mild because my factor levels. So what that means is how much of the Factor VIII protein I have in my body is at a level where I'm considered a mild. Okay, so today I'm doing 2 doses. This is Factor. This is the medication that I infuse. And for my minor dose, I have to do 2 of these. So my first step is gonna be mixing up the medicine. So inside the box, they give you instructions. I no longer need to look at that. They give you a butterfly needle, which if I wasn't using my PICC line, this is what I would be using to infuse with. So I save those. So for the days that I do have to poke and I don't get it on the first poke, I have extras. Oh, what am I taking out here? Let me show you. Okay, so this is the actual medicine. This is the Factor. It is a powder inside of a sterile thing. I have a vial of saline, which I use to reconstitute the medicine. I have this cool little adapter hat guy. And then I have a plunger and a box that I'm gonna throw away. Okay. To get set up, since my PICC line, which is hiding here in my arm, is 4 steps. So I have to do a saline, I have to do my medicine, another saline, and a hep. I'm noticing that this saline is actually not sealed, so I am not going to use this one because that sketches me out a little bit. So I'm actually going to throw him away. I have my little bags already packed up, so I'll take one out here. And this one is sealed, so I feel better about using him. So yeah, I like to spread everything out in order and just get all the steps ready. That way, once I've exposed my PICC line and I'm working as clean an environment as possible. So for these alcohols, I just tear the corner, pull them a little bit, and then I stand them up. That's actually a little tip that I learned from the the RN who was working at my surgical recovery. So yeah, rip it. Pull a little bit, just makes it easier because basically I have to scrub the cap each step of the way. So first thing I'm going to do is mix up my medicine. So pop the cap. Everything here is already clean, so I don't have to sterilize these with alcohol, and doing so would actually make them dirtier. So I pop off the white cap, I peel off this lid, and without touching anything in there, there's a pokey in there, and he is going to pierce this rubber membrane. So I put it on, push it down, and that's on. Now I take my saline, I snap off the lid, don't touch the glass inside, screw it on, take my plunger, put it in here, lightly thread it, and I'm just gonna push it down, getting all the liquid in there. And now this is kind of a delicate protein, so I'm not gonna shake it. If you've ever dealt with insulin for a pet or a human, it's kind of that same idea. You need to mix it, but you need to be really delicate. So I've mixed it up. I gently invert it because sometimes white powder builds up on the inside of the vial. And I'm just kind of looking at it for particulate, and I'm not seeing any particles, so I think everything is in solution. So I set him aside. For this dose, I have to combine 2 bottles. So I'm going to do exactly those same steps for my other step. If I ever have to go into the hospital for an infusion or take my son in for an infusion, this is all stuff I usually have to do on my own, because when you use patient-provided medication, they don't usually know how to prepare it correctly. Pharmacy usually wants to look at it, but then they tend to wash their hands of you, which is good because when I've had them mix my medicine, they've done it incorrectly. Okay, so now I take my syringe. I'm gonna leave, so I have the plunger end and I have the tip. I'm gonna leave the tip, or I'm gonna open it handle end first, so I can basically leave myself a clean slot to put it in when I'm done. Making sure I have every single drip that I can in there. I pull him off, don't touch anything. I thread him on, snug, and I'm gonna invert. And now I'm gonna draw this syringe to draw the medication out. And as I'm doing this, I'm just gonna tap just to make sure I get kind of all the medicine out of that vial. And then once I have a good air pocket, nothing else dripping, disconnect him and save him because I need him for documentation later. And now with 2 vials, I do the same thing. Here I have to do kind of a careful, like a 45 and on, so that nothing pours out. Sometimes stuff does come out of that silicone gasket. Kitty, you can go away. I do not need your help during this process. Thank you. Okay, so there's my medicine. Now I kind of tap the syringe to get the air bubbles to float up. And then I gently plunger it until the liquid is just up in the tip. And without touching it to anything, I slide that back in there. Okay, now that that's ready, I'm gonna go ahead and open up my other 3 syringes. The saline, everything under the tips is sterile, so I don't wanna touch those, but these are pressurized, kind of like a champagne bottle. So if I go to push it, it's gonna shoot straight up, hit you guys in the phone, hit my ceiling. So I actually do it where I pull back just enough to break the seal. I can kind of hear it click, and then I can move, and I'm doing that same thing. I push until all the air is out and kind of bubbling. You see the little bubbles out of there. And then I put my cap back on without touching anything. He's ready. Do the same thing with this guy. He is bubbly. And then this final one is my heparin. And this is a medication that is used, it's kind of ironic because it makes clots not form, which is the whole reason why I take Factor in the first place. But we don't want clots forming in the PICC line itself. So by doing this at the end, it kind of fills the line with medication and keeps clots from forming in the PICC line, which would make infusing impossible. All right, everything's ready. Got my alcohol, got all my vials. Now I'm gonna go ahead and pull out my PICC. So the first thing I do is I just check and make sure everything under the cover looks good. I do have some pulling up of some of my adhesive, and thankfully I go to HTC for dressing change tomorrow, so they'll take care of that. I did tape down one side, otherwise everything is secure, there are no holes. So I'm gonna cover that back up. And I'm gonna pull out my PICC line itself. So there's a clamp at one end, and that's where it's connected. That's kind of the gate. And then I have my extension tubing on here so that I can control everything. This screen cap has alcohol inside of it, which is keeping my cap clean. But basically once I uncover this I have to keep super clean. So I have to scrub it really well before every single step. And I'm never supposed to touch this actual end. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull him off. Grab an alcohol and go ahead and wipe the tip and scrub this for 15 to 30 seconds. I am not very good about counting, so I just kind of do it for a while. I'm sure some of you are going to sit there with the video on the timer to let me know that I'm going too long or not long enough. But I'm basically just trying to make sure I really disinfect it. I especially try to make sure I do a little extra on this very first one since he has been closed up for a day. I think, let's see, I'm on day 10. So I have 4 more days of daily, and then I go to every other day. But even on those every other days, I'm gonna do a heparin flush. So I'll still be in the line. All right, so he is scrubbed And now I need to let it sit and dry. I do not want to inject myself with alcohol. That would be painful, especially in dry January. So I just let it dry really well. While that's drying, I'm gonna go ahead and get my saline ready. And you notice I'm kind of holding everything so it's like out and not touching anything. That way I don't accidentally touch a part that I shouldn't. I'm gonna go ahead and remove my cap. Give it one more prime. Since this is saline and it's not a measured dosed specific thing, my goal here is gonna be to flush, so I can do a little extra. And I just attach. These are push valves, so I push and twist until it's on. Get it ready in my hand, and now I'm gonna come down here and unclamp my line. Now the very first time I go in, I'm gonna draw. So I'm pulling back on this file, I'm trying to create a vacuum, and I'm just looking at my line and making sure I get a little bit of blood return. So basically I'm just looking for a little bit of red in my PICC line, which I get. Now I'm gonna do a push pause technique to get this saline in, and I just push and wait. Push and wait. And basically what this is doing is it's creating turbulence in the line that'll break away any clots that have formed, any, we don't want any blockages in this line, which goes all the way into my heart. So we want to keep it nice and clear and open. And I'm noticing there's a little bit of an air bubble in this guy despite my best efforts, so I'm not going to push the whole way. So I stop, close that clamp, and now I do it again. So I'm going to disconnect him, get my alcohol wipe, and scrub. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That's kind of good. And my nurses describe that as like squeezing an orange is the motion I'm using there. So again, while he's drying, I'm gonna pull my factor out. I'm gonna recheck it for any particles, any large bubbles. Some bubbles are just gonna be there. And my RNs have given me guidance on how much air is acceptable to be infused. That's always something you would wanna check with your own doctors or nurses to find out what their comfort levels are. I know mine, but I'm not going to tell you it because I am not here to give you any medical advice. I'm just showing you what I'm doing. I am not a doctor. Okay, so trying not to get factor out, but trying to get my air bubbles out. And here we go. We're going to connect. Push, twist. All right. So now that my factor is connected, I open my clamp. And this is still a push pause, but I want to administer this medication, which is this is 5 mils of medication. And I want to administer this about over 2 minutes. So I do tiny little push pauses. And the main thing with the factors that we just go slow. I've never gotten a fantastic answer when going through a PICC line why I have to put it in slowly, but it's the manufacturer's recommendation. So that's what we're going to go with. I think it has to do with just kind of how delicate the protein structure is, and maybe if I go too fast, it can break apart those proteins before they have a chance to get to my bloodstream. If I was infusing directly into my arm via a butterfly needle or something like that, I wouldn't want to go fast because I could blow the vein. Here, I am not going to blow my vein, thankfully, because this little tube in my arm, like I said, it goes all the way to my heart. I think it goes, I can't remember where this specific PICC parking spot was, if it's in the aorta or the upper vena cava. I can't remember where she parked this one, but it's in that general area. Mainly it's get it into my heart so it can then be delivered to my bloodstream, which will carry it to my head, which is my primary bleed site right now. And I don't have any air bubbles in this one, and I want every single drip of medication, so I am plunging that bad boy all the way to the end. Closing my clamp. And now it is on to saline. So pinch down at the lower end of the cap, remove, grab a new alcohol, and time to do the orange scrub. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Let that dry. And while that's drying, I'm just gonna go ahead and check my watch. I'm showing the time is just 11:31. That lets me know if I back up about 2 or 3 minutes that I put my factor in around 11:27. I need to know that because I'm gonna record that in my log. This factor medication is supposed to go in about every 24 hours, plus or minus an hour. So that is on track, but I do need to document when I put it in. So get my saline ready. Again, holding the tip far away from anything that it might touch, so I don't compromise the cleanliness of the tip. Prime it. And this is the main reason I use this drop here. It's not to make it a sterile environment. It's really just to take care of all my mess. All right, open the valve, clamp, whatever it is, and then push pause. And this is gonna make sure that none of my factor is left in my line, but that it is pushed all the way into my heart, where my cardiac system can carry it away. Okay, close. Take off the saline. Oh, nope, scrubbies. Here we go again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Go ahead and let that dry. This is also a good time for me to like throw stuff in the trash can while it's drying, as long as I make sure that I'm not touching things that I'm not supposed to. And then I keep my medicine vials with their labels. But sometimes that tidy work makes sure that I let things dry long enough. I'm gonna go with that, get my heparin ready. Blue cap off, tip away. This is a smaller dose. This is only 5 mils, so I don't want to waste any of this when I'm priming it, but I am going to make sure I have all the air out. And there it is. Attach, open, and push. Same push pause as the others. All right, he is done. So for this one, I clamp it. And then here's this little cap.
Motion detected at the front door.
Thank you, Alexa. All right, so this little cap is the same thing that I took off at the beginning. It has the alcohol on the inside. So I'm gonna hold that cap there, or hold the end of my, hold the end of my line cap, unscrew him. Hold this between my fingers so I can peel it back and leave it clean. Which is sometimes easier said than done. Pinch him down below and screw him on. All right, my line is now clean and closed. I always use this time to kind of double check my connections. Should have done it before. These are kind of hard for me to check on my own, but I did check them. And then I'm going to just pull up my PICC cover, get my valve tucked in, or my clamp, and then just curl my tubing and tuck it back in. And this basically is so I keep the tubes from being kind of pressed against my skin, which is burned, and so it's delicate, and this just keeps it a little bit more comfortable. An ID glove. Fold this out of the side for a second. And then this is the logging I was talking about. So these are sheets that I get from my Hemophilia Thrombosis Center. So on the medicine, the labels are actually stickers. So if I peel this off, like that. I can stick it in my log and it reduces what I have to write. It provides a barcode. This way, if there's any problem with a reaction to the medication, I know what it is. I jot the time first so I don't forget. That was 11:27 a.m. Today is 1/10/2021. Yay. Reason, surgery. Lead site, sinuses. Product, this is Cavaltry. Total units, 749 times 2, so that's 1498 units. And in notes, I write that it went through my PICC. So that's it, everybody. That is how you do an infusion of Factor VIII through a PICC line. I will get this posted, and if you have any questions or suggestions, go ahead and put those in the comments. If there are other things you'd like to see videos of related to hemophilia care or working with a PICC, go ahead and post those as well, and I will try to see what I can come up with. Hope you all have a great day. Bye-bye.